and the muscles themselves work on what's called an actin-myosin system. Okay, so we're going to go back and do a little bit of molecular biology here as we talk about muscular movement by using an actin and myosin system. Okay? All right, let's take a look at some skeletal muscle, which is shown up here, a bodybuilder with the weights. And let's just do a little bit of anatomy here. So the main muscle itself is basically a grouping of things. So in order to talk about what we're grouping, let's go all the way down to the kind of the beginning here, and let's take an individual muscle cell. That individual muscle cell is arranged as a long fiber. I'm going to call this muscle cell fiber. Okay. All right. Notice that associated with this muscle cell are nuclei, and that's because muscle cells are multinucleate. They're very large, so to coordinate activities, I need to have a source of DNA to make proteins in these different parts of the cell. Now, within the cell itself are these things called myofibrils. Anytime you see myo, think muscle. Not to be confused with myco, which means fungus. Myo means muscle. So there's this little kind of muscle fiber, and there are groupings of these muscle fibers here. Groupings of these myofibrils within each of these muscle fibers, which is the muscle fiber is the cell. The myofibrils are the proteins within the cell. Then, if I take multiple muscle fibers and I group them together with bundles of connective tissue, so here I have these, and then I'm going to kind of join them together with connective tissue. This is called a fascicle. And then, if I take multiple fascicles with connective tissue around them, that's muscle. So multiple fascicles coming together to make muscle. Okay? All right. Okay, now let's look more closely at these myofibrils. So the myofibrils are the individual protein strands within the muscle cell. So I'm looking at one of these myofibrils. And the skeletal muscle has a certain appearance to it under the microscope. So we have a couple different versions of this here, a more three-dimensional version and one where they've kind of drawn in some molecules, or what they think they would look like if they could see them. So let's just start here. I'm going to do this three-dimensional one a little bit differently here. Okay. All right, so the myofibril itself consists of these units repeated over and over and over again. And these are called sarcomeres, mere being unit. These are the muscle fibril units that are repeated over and over and over again. So there's a sarcomere here. The myofibril would consist of multiple sarcomeres. Here, there's my sarcomere. The myofibril consists of multiple sarcomeres. And what we'll do next time is start to get into a little bit more anatomy and head to the molecular biology to make the muscle work. So I'll see you next time.